So, probably the most popular Among Us animation by series is probably the Among Us Logic series that has great characters and great animation. It's probably one of the best animation you could see in Among Us animation. But there are more that are better, have animation, but doesn't matter. This one actually has just a fun story like instead of the others that are just like story based. But this one is just a typical fun, amazing game with all the characters and stuff. But over time there has been a lot of episodes they have made. So because I like the series, I want to rank every episode of the series. So yeah, I'm gonna rank every episode. So this is how the was gonna work. They all have to be Among Us episodes. Okay, yeah, you get that part. But the next part is well, they need to be well. As of now, the most recent episode is episode 15. So if if episode 16 comes in and say you shouldn't put that on the list, it's not my fault. It's because I made this before episode 16 comes out. So yeah. So anyways, let's just get on the list. So here are every Among Us Logic episodes ranked from best to worst. In my opinion, I think the worst episode of Among Us Logic history has to be episode 4. There's really nothing to talk about this. It's not bad, but it's the worst. So why is this episode so bad? It's just boring. There's really nothing happens in the episode. It's just normal typical Among Us play like everyone plays, of course. There are new characters like Greaser and Captain or Pirate, but they're boring as hell too. They really don't get no lines, and Greaser, I'm just gonna call him Greaser, he's not a good character. He's trying to be like the next bro, but not really. He's like a cry freaking baby. And even though the locations in the episode are new, we never got to see them. But the focus is on player and veteran being the imposters. That's it. And, really nothing happens. It's just you get onto an episode and that's it. That's really all I had to say. Is this a typical boring episode? But there was some scenes I do like the captain singing "You're My Best Friend" and veteran that I kind of laughed a little. He was kind of funny. But overall, besides those two I like, it doesn't help the episode as being one of the worst. But speaking of this episode, remember episode 13? 13, when the people get sentenced to the Cheers lobby? Any of you guys remember this scene with Veteran?
How did you do this?
Like with the murders? Well, with the gentleman that did the old needle tongue. That always gets him. And Mr. Egg I just bashed in the face with a crowbar. I don't even think that's an animation in game. Not quite.
Do you see right there? That Veteran cheated his way to kill another person. Yeah, that's weird. And if you think of that, why did Veteran never got sent into the Cheers lobby? Because if Veteran did kill the gentleman, Mr. Egg would be scared and definitely report the body. And he would definitely get Veteran out, or sort of, if I'm correct. But how will Veteran have a 10-second cooldown on time to even kill Mr. Egg? Like, I guess the kill cooldown is probably 10 or 20 seconds. I don't even know. They never show us what their kill cooldown is. So, yeah. And also, so, yeah. This This guy, veteran, the Fall Guys master, the creators of this game and game masters, and that's what player says it in episode 13, never caught veteran cheating. Well, I know this episode came out before the Cheers lobby was invented, but they wouldn't notice on time and kept veteran in the Cheers lobby. And if he was in episode 5, that means he wouldn't have been in the Cheers lobby. You wouldn't see him for one episode. But he somehow appeared in that episode too. So, yeah, they never caught veteran. That's what I'm saying. And also, the scene with the live action with their like people body, it's kind of awkward for a Among Us logic video. But we don't see this thing again until the most recent one, episode 15. But I won't go into depth on that episode until we get to there. Overall, episode 4 is probably the worst. Not the worst Among Us episodes. There is a lot. But overall, it is not a great episode to watch. If you want to watch all the episodes, I think you want to get this one out of the way first. Then you can watch the others. Just saying. So it was pretty easy putting episode 4 as the worst. But these next 13 was very hard since I liked each episode. But overall, the next one on the list is episode 10. This is a not so good episode. This one is good. It is not bad, but it's lower on the list because I think the plot is weak, I guess. It's just your typical player and veteran thinking there's a robot in the lobby, and they had to find who's the robot. So they need to kill them. They look at everyone to see if they're robots. And the guy who is actually gentleman, but Mr. Cheese built him as a gentleman. I do like the scene with Mr. Cheese actually liking the Gentlebot, like this scene right here.
Gentlebot.
But yeah, I do like other scenes with Mr. Cheese, but that's the best one. I really like the ending when Captain has to pick either player, the male one, or the fake player that was the Gentlebot. And I really like the reveal that Gentleman was an actual robot. And the face kind of looks like the Terminator. Okay, I cannot say that. But anyways, I do like the episode. It's just weaker than the other ones on the list. It's just kind of boring. Not that boring, but it could have a lot of potential. That's why it's lower on the list. Oh yeah, and I also forgot this is my opinion. Forgot to say that in the beginning of the video, but yeah, this is my opinion. So if you don't like episode 10 being low, you can make your own list and we'll put episode 10 higher. But so far, I keep it in low, so let's just move on to the next spot. Next up, I'm sorry to say, but I'm putting episode 12 at the number 13 spot. I didn't want to put this low, but I had to say this is the weak. Like with episode 10, I had to say this is the weaker of the rest of them on the list. So why is this lower? Well, I do like the first scene with the airship map, and I do like Mr. Cheese's personality of him just being a current jerk, like being the cool guy now. I kind of like that. And I do like this episode for bringing back Ninja, the master of Among Us, but I wish he had more potential, and we could have seen more scenes. Unfortunately, they probably had to make it faster, so Ninja just had to kill everyone. I just wish they had more scenes with them. It could have been better. But I do like the beginning with the airship, like I said just minutes ago. But there's really nothing else. It's just a very simple episode with just Ninja just massacring everyone. So there's really nothing happens. It would have been cool if we see more scenes, but so far it is not. I kind of like the scene at the end with the beating. It gets intense on Captain has to pick who gets ejected or something. But things like Player was close to actually getting Mr. Cheese out. But there's one also problem. Mr. Cheese, Player, didn't even kill no one. He couldn't have killed either Gentleman or Mr. Cheese, and they could have won. That kind of means Player is kind of stupid here, because he couldn't just killed either Mr. Cheese or Gentleman and could have won the whole game. But no, he did not really do that. And like I said, there's not really a lot of potential. The only things I like is the airship in the beginning and the meeting at the end. But the metal part kind of ruins it, in my opinion. But that's okay. You could think this episode is good. I think it's good, but it's just the weaker of the others. Same goes for episode 10 I just talked about. Next up is episode 11, and this will be the last one that is bad. Well, not sorta, but this is going to be the last lower episode on the list. So, episode 11 is a Christmas episode, of course, so they could do whatever they want. This is the weaker holiday out of the Halloween one, but the episode is kind of charming, I guess. I kind of like the Christmas references here. I do like the beginning with the narrator having a book, and it's like how the imposter stole Christmas, or the imposters who stole Christmas. You can see right there. It's like a reference to how the Grinch stole Christmas, and like how Player saved Christmas. Well, not really in the episode, but yeah. I kind of like the narrator. I really don't know if he's some new character or he is just bro on the lighting. Since why would they allow a new person in their lobby? Like the last time they let someone in the lobby was Blue when this episode came out. And why would they just let a random person come again? Since the last time, like I said, they never bring no one out since episode 7. So yeah, the video is just about Player, well, just kind of like giving gifts to Captain or whatever. I don't know what the plot is. I guess the plot is just, I don't even know what the plot is. I guess the plot is about the imposters, but I really don't know. I'm confused. Even though I kind of like the Christmas special here, it's just weaker than the Halloween one. It's good, but I really do not like characters in some of these. Some of them are missed potential, like Mr. Egg, Mr. Tree, known as Mr. Cheese. He could have much potential in this episode, but no, he just gets scratched out by the snow guy, unfortunately. Which is a song that we didn't know who's the snowman to begin with. And I do like the little references on the Christmas, like they did with the Halloween ones. Like they did a little cool reference to how the Grinch stole Christmas with the scene with the Grinch hating Whoville with up the mountains, and this is the same with Gnome here. And I do like the Frosty the Snowman reference with Freezy, and and also Freezy is kind of like a killer, so he's kind of, I think the snowman of him is kind of a reference to Jack Frost, because he's a killer, of course. But I really do like the scene with the ghosts of Present, Mother, and Poopy Future, that's his name, telling him in his past when he was a little child with another gentleman. And I really like Mr. Presents with the story how Captain spent a lot of money for Player to get a PS5. And yeah, those are freaking rare. Don't get me wrong, those are freaking expensive. But we're not talking about the PS5. We're talking about Among Us logic here. There's a lot of talking here, but moving on. Poopy Future is really nothing. He just stays forward. Gentleman believes he's dead, but not really. This entrance kind of seemed like a review. And the end with Freezy believing that the whole time he was freezing the entire time. I kinda did not see that coming. But I believe this episode is non-canon because, like I said, I know the Cheers lobby didn't came out before this episode, but if it was, Freezy and Gnome will probably be in the Cheers lobby for their cheating in the game. First, they did not spawn with the players in the beginning, so that kind of seems cheating there. Because always you need to spawn with the other players so everyone's there. And also, Freezy, you get the point. Freezy or the narrator and Gnome are kind of cheaters, but in the Wikia, you go to Among Us Lucky Wikia page and go to the section of cheaters, you do not see both of them in the cheaters section. Same goes with Veteran. Even though Veteran cheated his way to kill Mr. Egg in episode 4, I'm surprised that they never caught them. But I believe this is not canon because of the two imposters didn't go to the Cheers lobby. But it's kind of canon right at the end. It kind of believes it's canon because of, because of narrator saying player do sucks at Among Us. I believe that this episode is confusing on if it's canon or not. Man, this entry is taking way too long. So, all I have to say is a good holiday special, but not better. So, yeah, that's it I have to say because this entry is taking so long. So, I'm moving on now.
What?
So you're probably wondering how I found myself in this situation. Well, let me show you the person who's responsible for ruining my life. His name is Blue. Don't be fooled by that folksy Viking look he's got going on. This guy is trouble. Don't believe me? Let's go all the way back to the beginning.
Okay, sorry for that long scene. But anyways, coming at number, if I'm correct, 10. Yeah, maybe number 10. But next up is episode 7. So this is the first mediocre list tier or whatever, but it's still not a good episode. So this episode really is just what do I need to say? There's really a lot to talk about, but I don't want to make this long. It's because of the last entry, but I'll hurry up and make some stuff before I have to move on. So the episode's about the new guy called Blue. Yeah, that's his name in this episode. And I guess he's the new person that just joined this random game. And I guess he's a smart dude. I kind of like him. He's like always the mastermind on trying to win the game. He's just always knowing what's gonna happen. Well, that's my opinion on his personality. Well, overall, the episode's good. It's just a lot of times that the episode kind of drags on. Like, I guess the first one that drags on is probably the scene with Blue and Captain talking. Like, I want to get it over with. Another one that kind of drags on, in my opinion, is the part with, player talking about all that, but that's just minor. I think the one that kind of drags on, in my opinion, is that. But, yeah. I kind of there is some good, funny jokes there. I kind of like the one with Veteran who say Poopy Force is a part of The Office. I also do like the beginning of the episode when everyone makes a reference of a popular media movie. Like, I think Star Wars, Wizard of Oz, and Granivores, or whatever that movie's called. I never watched it before. I wish I could. But yeah, I really like the the movies reference in the first part. I kind of like Veteran when he says, "This is Sparta." But the episode is kind of boring. And also, the character Blue kind of exists just to make the new channel, Game Tunes, when Mr. Cheese says it in the credits. Actually, Blair is the imposter. And Mr. Cheese somehow comes out of nowhere at the end. Also, one scene with Mr. Cheese licking the camera with Mr. Cheese saying he loves gentlemen, or they're in a public couple or whatever. Does this mean Mr. Cheese is gay? No, seriously, like, Mr. Cheese loved the gentleman so much. Well, when he came back. But when he, he got so mad in episode 5 that he wanted Mr. Egg gone or away from him so he could take the gentleman. It's like any lovership. It's like a man breaks up with a lady and then goes with a new lady, and then the lady comes back and do something with the other lady, like kill or do something, and then the lady's back with the guy again, like that. But I don't think he's kind of gay. But is it still true that he's gay? Like, can Mr. Cheese be gay? Like he's not like a couple with gentlemen, but that kind of almost seems like Mr. Cheese is gay. Just no joke. Anyways, overall, episode 7 is a good one, but it kind of drags on a little. And it could have been potential if some scenes kind of dragged on. If it wasn't for that, this episode would have been great.
What?
Okay, well, I guess we got to go down to the previous episode after episode 7, which is episode 6, the Halloween special. Like with the holiday special that I just talked about, this also has Halloween references in here. And it's the only time that the characters change their hats. Same also goes for episode 11 with the Christmas episode. But I think Halloween episode is better than the Christmas episode because, I think the Halloween references is better and it doesn't drag on a little while. My opinion. There was also the episode that brought back everyone's favorite, Mr. Cheese, after his episode 5 appearance. And I guess Gentleman is back to Mr. Cheese again. Great. You get to see everyone's reaction with these horror scenes or whatever. It's like everyone gets scared and they all die by the imposters. I kind of like the segments, but the one that drags on is the scene with Mr. Cheese with his paper boat with Captain trying to get it back, known as the If It references. Yeah. And also, there's a lot of 3D effects in the episode, like when Poopy Farts moves his hands, that kind of looks like it's in 3D instead of 2D. And actually, fun fact, this is probably as of right now the only episode to do in 3D effects. Or to do in weird animation styles. I kind of like that. I kind of like the 3D styles in here and the nice movement. But we don't see that anymore after this episode. It's kind of sad. I really want to see them move clean instead of just regularly. It could have been cool. But they end with all the friends, everyone kicking player out because Poopy Farts. It's kind of lame, in my opinion. They couldn't have like another reason, but no, they just do something like that. And Mr. Cheese even knows how to communicate farts. Kind of doesn't make sense because Mr. Cheese is an imposter, so he's gonna lie, of course. But man, look at Veteran and Mother scream. They scream so loud. It's like they're in a horror movie. Yeah, so overall, this is a nice Halloween special with all the cool references. Along with it references, you also have a Scream reference. Scream, yeah, that movie. And also, I guess, if I'm correct, the shiny part where Mr. Cheese said, "It's Mr. Pumpkin." Yeah, that scene. But overall, great Halloween special. I think some parts dragged on, especially the part with Captain and Mr. Pumpkin. But yeah, overall good episode. If that scene didn't drag on, it could have been greater.
What?
Wow, the most recent episode crashed this spot right here. Whoa, episode 15, the most recent episode. This is the first episode to have a mod, sort of, in the real lobby, since in the previous episode, the mod was in the Cheers lobby instead of a normal lobby. I kind of like everyone a zombie, like, it's like a zombie, everyone's, like, trying to stay alive. The only ones that are alive are Player, Captain, and Mr. Cheese trying to live their lives, or sort of, because there's one character. That other survivor, Stoner. Fun fact, this is his comeback return after episode 8. And like I said, Stoner doesn't get a lot of screen time than his first 2 appearances, but doesn't matter. The zombie faction corrupts on the pets. We see Toto and Franken, zombies, and so is other players in the game, like Mr. Egg, veteran engineer, killing the rest of the players. When Gnome, and also C comes back, Polly after she got, Polly, like with Player, Polly, her line, her win in the Christmas episode, but like I said, I don't know if that canon or not. I do like the the scene with the captain just doing all this just because he wanted Player to lose. Because he never plays around. Player doesn't want to be with Captain. He never even said he was his best friend to begin with. In episode 5, that was Mr. Cheese in disguise. He only did that because he was an imposter. That's it. Overall, there's really nothing to say. Your generic Halloween your generic zombie chase episode. But there's one problem I have. Unfortunately, we don't get to see how this all started with how the zombie infection happened to begin with. It just starts off with Captain, Mr. Cheese, and Mr. Cheese, Captain, and Player running for their life from Toto. And that's it. I wish we could have seen how it started. That could have been much cooler. But anyways, the episode's still good or great. But I have to say, the other ones on the list is much better than this one, I gotta say. But it's still a good episode. Okay, now we're getting on to the good tier. The ones that are good, but not the greatest. Even though I said these episodes are still great. Number 8 is Among Us Logic 9. So, Among Us Logic 9 is a, spy thing, or like any police thing with, or whatever it is. Whatever these call with, these two things. Like, I think it's about, like, police, like, talking about the criminal and how things happen. Yeah, I think of those. That's the things that I think they're trying to reference here. So the episode is about Player, Mr. Cheese, and Veteran. As the last 3 people left, with still 1 imposter left in the crew. And they kind of bring a flashback how all this started, which they couldn't have done in episode 15. But this is no minor joke. I kind of like the scene with Player and Mr. Cheese just trying to do what they're trying to do with with Player being the fancy cop, if I'm correct, that he's trying to be, and Mr. Cheese trying to be the funny cop. I don't know if they're trying to do that and correct me in the comments, or the comments might be taken down, but doesn't matter. So the back scene is just how things started. Your normal detective or practitioner or whatever game of Among Us. When an electrical veteran visit, seeing Mr. Cheese crying with the gentleman dead. And of course, any other Among Us game, they do a meeting, of course. It kind of gets crazy, even crazier on who it is. It just gets to the scene on who is it really is. Is it veteran, player, or Mr. Cheese? I kind of like excitement of episodes like this. You're trying to see who is really the imposter the entire time. It's kind of just one problem I have, and it's the part with veteran, player and captain. When players scan his medbay and captain right by two bodies, and player thinks captain killed them. Even though in this scene right here, he literally saw Captain medbay scan. I'm not joking. Does this mean player is really dumb and who says he just wants to get game over with? Or he thought? Like really, you saw him medbay scan. That's crazy. Like, if you have a medbay scan task, you will be definitely safe. But it makes no sense. Player saw him and he believes that he killed two people. Which makes no sense because you can't kill two people. Either if you, cheat the kill cooldown like Angel did back in episode 1. If you could say that. And also, other fun fact, this is the first episode the player doesn't get ejected. Either from the lava, outer space, or, falling to his doom. Yeah. This is the first time he doesn't get ejected for once. But he still lost, doesn't matter. Overall, a great episode. I really like the crime scene in the beginning on they have to solve who is really the killer. But another short one. That's it. That was all I have to say. At number 7 is episode 3. This came the debut of a veteran himself, along with Mr. Egg, the gentleman's second teammate or whatever, after he left Mr. Cheese. And we also have the other debut of Engineer and Gnome, which they will become lovers, even though they wasn't lovers in their debut appearance. Yeah. So we get to see a lot more location in the Mary HQ, like in the first one, that they wasn't Mary HQ, but they didn't show a lot of locations there. There was everyone got to talking a lot. Everyone's personality stayed good, even the new ones. I really like Engineer's personality, trying to be he's like the smartest one on the group. With Gnome Connoisseur being the killer gnome. Because like most of the time she's the imposter, she's always blood killer. That's just what I'm saying. And Veteran, who is the funny one of the bunch, he's like funny. He's just like a funny character. Sometimes he could not be funny, and sometimes just doesn't make sense. But he's kind of funny. He's charming to watch when he's on scene. And Mr. Egg is probably the weakest out of the three because I don't like his puns. It's like they're not funny in my opinion. And unfortunately, Gentleman, even though Gentleman always says who's new, this will be the first time that Gentleman never says who's new to the lobby. And he also doesn't do that anymore. He doesn't show who's new to the lobby. You just have to just guess when the crewmate segment shows up. That's it. To know who's new out of the group. The only time the gentleman says something about the people in the lobby is episode 6. But there was no one new to that episode. Yeah. I kind of like Mr. Egg couldn't have more puns. But he's just not a good character. I think Mr. Cheese would have been a great character to stay, but I guess you had someone new. Anyway, there's really not a lot. It just, in the plot, player and veteran saying that Gentleman is not Among Us legend. And he's trying to show proof if they win this match as imposters. And luckily, they somehow did. And also, I do like the end with players saying like a memorial or whatever with Captain and Poopy Force had to believe him. There are some stupid parts, like in the end, like the people in the lobby are so dumb for no reason. They just believe the gentleman for no reason. They just said people vote player, and then they just believe him. Another stupid part is when Angie gets voted off, because Poopy Farts, we don't even know what he said. It's pretty stupid because he just believes that it's an engineer, and that's kind of dumb. Another dumb part is when Captain don't believe it's them, even though most of the time in the games, when two people are part of sees a killer, the imposter always gets out. But anyways, even though I kind of liked it, I don't think it's better than the two because I didn't get a lot of laughs. The only laughs I did get was probably Veteran. That's it. The scenes are just okay. It's still good, but not better than the other two. And number 6 is episode 14. One of the also more recent episodes. So in this one is about Player being sentenced to the Cheers lobby because of the last episode when Player cheated his way to get the victory. So yeah, I gotta say, this is a great episode. All the characters get to shine, even with Mr. Cheese too. And also, this is the first episode, besides the episode 4, so real life Among Us body things. If you see the NFL patrons and Miss Pink, you see they don't have normal body save like the regular Among Us people. And since this is a Cheers lobby with everyone, they could just do whatever they want. Yeah. Anything. Yeah, you could do Moz. You could do Moz or anything. The woos doesn't matter on this one. And this is also another return of another obscure character that haven't been brought back since the first episode. Angel. And her voice kind of changed a little, I guess. And I kind of like the scene when he cuts off Mr. Cheese's head. Unfortunately, this episode doesn't last long. I wish it did, so we could get new mods. The only mods we see in here are the 100 players and the tiny mod. They could have more. They could have been greater, but well, I guess because they didn't want to make this episode so big or long, so they had to keep it short, of course. But there are some scenes that do save the episode of getting this longer. I even like the new character, Sir Clockwork, that we didn't know what his name at the time until this episode. So overall, that's enough I had to say about episode 14. It is a great episode. The characters got to shine, even Player himself. I kind of like the scene when Player forgives what he cheated for in the last episode. And it's still confusing to this day on why Blue or not Orange haven't got sentenced. Or they kind of did, or they got sentenced to another cheaters lobby. Because you see a lot of those 100 cheaters there. And Mr. Cheese said the 100 players mode was so annoying. So that means there were other people that was sentenced to the cheaters lobby, but, well, they're in a different lobby. So that could mean that Blue and not Orange are in a different lobby. So yeah. Overall, this episode is a good one. I'd much watch if you want to see mods. And I wish they could do more mods. Wow, this is 39 minutes long. I had a lot of talk. I know all my talk did not make sense for some of them, but I'm trying my best because I haven't did a ranking or a top 10 list since 2 years ago. So sorry about that. So now we're down to 5 episodes left. So these are the best of all time in my opinion. And probably same goes for other people too. So now let's get on to the top 5.
Yes, I won! I finally won! Oh, I can't wait to rub it in everyone's face!
If we're gonna start the top 5, I think the start of the top 5 is the one that started it all. Episode 1. So, well, this is the one that began the whole series, as we know. We got to see everyone that changed on each episode. Player, Mr. Cheese, Gentleman, and Captain. The men we will know to this date. We also got to see some other favorites like Stoner, Ninja, and more.